as you scale and grow, building a business, scaling a business is all about a numbers game. And so if the operator can bring that cost data to the table so that we're optimizing not just for top line, but for margin and for profit, then the business as a whole is going to systematically cut all of the shit that is really inefficient and costing them a lot of money and double down on the things where their profit is strongest.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to Legacy's Journey. It's another episode where we talk about creating what outlives you. I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies so that they can live the dream life they deserve and not be a slave to their business. And we do that through CFO services, accounting, tax strategy, the whole nine, consulting. Now, I told y'all this is season 2. And we're going to be focusing on all these agencies that are on the road to their $1 million agency. Some of these people, pretty much almost all of them, have already surpassed it. But, I put my feelers out there. And when you're growing your business, you're growing your reach, growing people, connections, you're like, hey, who should we have on? And then you pay attention to certain people. You're like, man, their content is good. I like what they're talking about. And it was this one special young lady that I was like, man, I should ask her. But for whatever reason, I never did. And so I'm just like, dang, she always posting something good on here. And so it just so happens I came back from this mastermind, and guess who was there? The great Johnny. Now, I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I'm just going to start off by saying she knows her stuff. Now, she's not a marketing agency. She's this, I called her the systems beast. That was what I called her. But I'm going to let her introduce herself, but y'all are in for a treat. All right. Introduce yourself. Name a company, how long you've been doing it, who you help. Tell us your stats so the people know you're legit.
Amazing intro, Cameron. Thank you. What's up, everybody? My name is Johnny. I am the founder of Spyglass Ops. That's my business. But before that, I got my start in the agency space. So I was a former COO. I was the second in command operator for a multi-7-figure agency called Atlas Digital. I then became COO for Agency Lab, which is a coaching program that has 500 plus agency owners in it. And I was the ops coach in that community. So I've worked with, I've never counted them up, but if the number was over 1,000, I wouldn't be surprised. Marketing agency owners in some way, shape, or form have I worked with or helped or coached those people. And I have directly worked and consulted with 50 plus agencies doing over 7 figures for sure. So the agency that space is my bread and butter, but we at Spyglass Ops help these agency owners scale up their businesses. And I echo exactly your mission as well, Cameron. Scale your business, but scale yourself out of the day-to-day weeds of that business so that you can achieve financial success, but not at the expense of personal freedom, impact, and building the life that you want to live. And so we tackle that problem through the lens of operations and specifically finding the right second in command operator and training that person so that you can get all of the operations that you need in your business, but not actually be the person who has to get into the weeds and implement it yourself.
She was good, huh? Okay, let's jump into it because we got to maximize the time. Okay, now you said you've helped over, we'll just be nice and say 50.
Let's just say 50.
7 figures.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I want to start this? Let's talk about the beginning of the journey because I think that's a very good way to get the people in where we're going. So Tell them about the first company where you were the number 2 and how you kind of helped them before you started your own. Let's just start there.
Yeah, totally. So the interesting scenario is that this very first agency, I was at the time living in a converted van in South America with my boyfriend, who was also the CEO of that agency. So we were living, traveling together, as well as co-running this agency in South America. And so as you can imagine, we were spending a significant amount of time not working. We were traveling, we were driving around, we were paragliding, we were experiencing this amazing travel experience. And so from the very beginning, this agency had to be able to run without a CEO or a COO permanently available, working 80-hour weeks, right? Doing the things that most agency owners do to grow and scale their businesses. And so the operations that I learned in that very first experience is, how do you systemize things so that an agency can really run itself, so that the agency owner doesn't have to be online, fully present all the time in order for this company to grow and be successful. And so from that very first experience, that balance between, financial success and personal success, lifestyle success, that was something that I needed to learn how to create and optimize in that very first experience. And then I've taken that and I've brought that to agency owners who maybe have that financial success, but have not figured out the personal freedom and the lifestyle side of that coin.
AKA what she's saying is, you making a lot of money, but you working night and day. You don't have no balance.
Yep.
You can't get away. Maybe you stressed out, not sleeping, not being physically fit. That's she helping you, even though you making money, but it's a better way.
100%.
Okay. Now, so how long ago was that again? That was how many years ago?
That was probably 5 years ago at this point.
So, all right, 5 years that happened. Next step is, for whatever reason, it's time to move on, and now you start.
And then I became the operations coach for Agency Lab, where there were 500 plus agency owners in that community, all trying to scale up to and past that 7-figure run rate. And specifically because what I do is operations, it's a more advanced kind of topic and skill set within the business. I was working with the inner circle. So I was working with the bigger agencies doing 50K months plus, helping them get up to and beyond that 7-figure run rate. And that's really who we work with today in Spyglass Ops, is agency owners at that 7-figure run rate, all the way up to agency owners trying to chase that 8-figure run rate. And we're really helping them build the systems and the team, because the reality is, Cameron, right? Like what got you here will not get you there. Every time an agency goes through a massive stage of growth, what that requires is a massive internal evolution, right? New systems, different team, different structure, different meetings, different leadership. And so we're helping our clients undergo that transition without all of the stupid tax and the pitfalls that generally trip agency owners up as they try and change things, but they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know how their business needs to change in order to get to the next level. And we help them do that.
Okay, now let's pause, because y'all know we got to talk about the money. Now listen to what she said. These were people that were around 50K and getting them to $1 million run rate. For those of you whose numbers aren't your strong point, that means 85K a month. So from 50 to 85, you're talking at least a $35,000 addition to their monthly retainer, or it could be project, one-off, but how to get there. Now, let's talk about maybe, what would you call it, like the avatar of these people, because the person who makes 50K and the person who makes 85K plus, two different types of people. When they're first coming to you, and we're on the agency lab side, so when they're coming to you, or hey, you're in the group, person reaches out and they say, John, I need some help. And you, all right, let's get on the call, let's jump on there. How is this person starting? Like, they're coming to you expressing what type of issues? Because what I want to do for you guys in the audience, I want you to see, like, is this me? Like, am I doing, because let me back up. So at this mastermind, where she killed it, by the way, like, she had the most interactive exercise, I would probably say, in the whole thing. Her presentation was awesome. If you need her, if you need a speaker, I'm saying all that, I'm co-signing. Now, there were some things that she shared to all of us, and even to me individually, where I didn't even know that I was doing something that was hurting my team or my systems or my process.
Yeah.
So what I want her to do is kind of lay out, okay, this person at 50K is coming to me with these kind of characteristics, I guess we'll call them. Sure. Because if that's you, I want you to listen to what she's saying, because even in this, I can promise you, she's going to say something that's going to make you go, oh my gosh. When I came back on Monday, we had team meeting, and it was, oh my gosh, for my team. But that's a different story. Go. Amazing. All right, $50,000 person comes, they set up the call, and they're like, hey, I need help. You're first identifying what are these issues that are holding them back or slowing them down to get to the 85K.
Yep, love it. Okay, and then let's do this, Cameron. We'll follow that up with the same exercise because I love it. But what's the difference between 100K per month and a 500K per month agency owner?
I love it.
think that's a big jump too. So cool. On the way to the 8-figure run rate, right? 30K per month, 50K per month. It's all kind of the same avatar. The thing is that you have, as an agency owner, created that success yourself. You have showed up. You have worked so freaking hard. You have built a product. You've identified a market and a niche. You've designed an offer. You've closed that offer. You've built, single-handedly, you have built the entire foundation of what is now your business. And you've had your hands in every single piece of that. You've personally designed and built every piece of that. That is freaking amazing. That is what made you successful and got you to that stage of success. And what got you here will not get you there. So the pitfall that that agency owner falls into is because they've created everything themselves. They assume that in order for them to continue to be successful, they have to continue to create everything themselves. And at the 50 to 80K per month range, that starts to break. There start to be too many clients for you to individually keep track of. You have a bit of a team built out around you and under you, and now your team is coming to you for everything. And you're getting really frustrated by that and burnt out by that and feeling like your team is waiting on you or is running behind you and you're having to drag them along, right? You're still showing up to your business from the assumption of, in order to be successful, I have to do everything myself because that's what's made me successful up until now. The evolution that gets you to the 100K, 200K, 300K per month mark is the evolution in that identity that says, in order to be successful, it doesn't mean you're doing everything. It means that you're creating a team and an ecosystem in which everything gets done, right? So as opposed to you showing up and doing the right work is still getting done. It's just no longer getting done by just you. And that sounds really simple, but it's really hard because it introduces a whole new set of skills and mindset, which is leadership, which is not something that you've ever needed to know or be good at. And why would you? Because there was nobody to lead. And now the success of your business and the ongoing growth of your business comes down to how quickly and how well you can learn to lead other people. The agency owners that resist that and hold on to the belief that says, I can do everything myself, I will do everything myself, one of two things happened. Number one, they will reach their limit of like what they can personally show up and do, and the business will stall out because they literally will not be able to grow it past that point because they've become the limit at what they like, what you can pour in. That's the limit for the business. And once you've reached your max, then the business will stop growing, right? So those agency owners either stall out, and at that point of stall out, they either learn and push past it, don't learn and burn out and quit. Like they'll exit the agency or they'll burn it down and they'll start the next thing. That's option one. Option two is roller coaster. So that's the other big thing that I see of agency owners trying to scale to 7 figures and past 7 figures without the right systems and team foundation in place, without the right operations, is that you'll have these boom bust cycles where you're really motivated and you buckle down and you close all of these clients and your revenue shoots up, but then it creates a ton of fires and a ton of problems on the back end, and you get really stressed out and your team is really stressed out and all these clients churn out and it crashes back down again, right? So that's kind of the two movies that play out for the agency owners who can't go through the personal evolution required to get to the next level.
Okay. Fire. Okay, let's go back because she said something really crucial. You said agencies who resist that willingness to change. So let's talk about that because I think that is key because most people, as you know, because you help us all, I'm not resisting. I'd love to have that. Yeah. So what would resisting in your example look like? Because we know it's not outward defiance. And when you say resist, you mean they're doing things or saying things like...
Yeah, it is essentially, it comes down to identity. Because if what made you successful, if what makes you a successful entrepreneur is being needed by your business, is being the best person for every job in your business, is being the smartest person on your team and the smartest person in the room and always having the answer, again, it's totally natural that your identity would be tied to these things because that is what has made you successful up until this moment, right? And again, that core belief that says, my way is the right way, my business needs me. It's easier and faster if I just do it myself. I don't trust my team to do it as well as I will do it, so I'll just step in and do it, right? All of these beliefs root back to your identity that says, I am the sole driver of my own success. I have to do everything myself, right? So that's where the resistance comes from. It comes from at its root, shifting your identity away from, I do everything. I am successful. I make myself successful, towards, I build a team that is successful. I lift other people up so they can get the right work done. I build the ecosystem so that the highest performance and the best work gets done around me. But I don't have to tie my, so let me give you a tactical example here, Cameron. I get so much more joy out of my team coming to me and telling me how they've done something or how they've solved a problem than I get from actually showing up and solving the problem, right? In terms of where my dopamine hit comes from, it comes from seeing my team thrive, seeing my team be successful. My identity has shifted so that now when my team wins, I'm winning. Most smaller agency owners, it's the opposite. I win when I win, and then I have to drag my team with me. Versus my whole definition of success, the whole point of being an entrepreneur at this stage of the journey is to support and lift my team so that they can win, because them winning is me winning. Does that shift make sense, Cameron? Did I do a good enough job of explaining that?
Yeah. Y'all didn't know y'all was going to get this counseling session today.
Yeah, dude.
Some psychology, some back work.
Yeah.
Because I think what you're also hinting at is, how are you wired?
Yeah.
And this isn't to get into childhood traumas and all of those different things, but I do think that those personal things do affect who we are in business. Because
100%.
to your point, if it's always been, well, everybody counted me out, and now see, look at what I've done. Like she said, you put your identity in me, it's got to be me, and that can be very hard to detach from.
Yes.
Hey, my team, oh, they helped you. Oh man, I'm glad they solved that problem for you. Because really, deep down, it means I didn't have to solve it.
Yeah.
It means we moving forward because I can do something else.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very detailed and brilliant way to break down that just the whole thing. Okay.
What you'll see tactically, because it's hard to, none of us are so self-aware that we're like, oh yeah, that's me, it's my identity, right? So what you'll see in the business, right? What your business will reflect back to you, if this is your challenge, is you're going to notice that your entire business is built around you. Your team won't move anything forward without you. They'll keep coming to you with all of the questions. Your client fires, all client fires will be escalated to you, and they won't get solved without you. No decision is going to be made. No idea is going to be had unless you are present and there to do it. And it's a real challenge, Cameron, because we work with our clients, we put the right operator in place, and all of a sudden, all of these things start to happen without the CEO, right? Now the operator's in there delegating to the team, running the team. Now the operator is running meetings and the operator is handling client fires. And we've had clients really freak out. The emergence of white space on their calendar, free time for them to no longer be needed in the day-to-day of their business, creates an identity crisis. And they kind of freak out and they jump back in because it feels so scary to have built this thing that can now be successful without you. It feels deeply existentially threatening.
I told y'all. Beast.
So that's up to the 7-figure run rate. Should we keep going?
Keep going, because you know how you have a question, but okay, so these are the under 50 to 60K people. Yeah. And you said the 100, 200K, 300K a month people think completely different because their mindset is,
my success is defined by what my business and team can accomplish, not by what I can accomplish.
Is that, do you think this is an easy transition to make mentally, or is it just you or you don't?
I think it's so hard. I think it's so hard, which is why we offer resources to our CEOs to help them with this exact thing, right? Not to mention just like the tactical skill set of like, how do you lead? How do you delegate? How do you hire? How do you get the right people on the bus? How do you manage them ongoing? There's a lot of tactics to learn to know how to build and lead a high performance team. And on top of all of the tactical knowledge, then there's also kind of the deeper work, which is what we were just talking about around identity and meaning and fulfillment and purpose and all that stuff. It only becomes more true as you scale past the 7-figure run rate. So there's agency owners get caught in a couple of like quote unquote valleys of death, right? The first is trying to get to that first 100K month. That's a really, really hard milestone. Most agency owners never get there. The next big jump, the next like plateau that agency owners hit is between the 100 and 300K per month mark. You'll notice statistically, there's a huge drop off in terms of agency owners who push past 300K and get to 500K, a million per month. Why? Because at that stage of growth, you are now not the only leader in your business. At that stage of growth, you're putting in a management team, heads of, team leads, VPs of, call them whatever you want, directors, but you're putting in place a middle management tier in your org chart. And now that is one more layer of separation, right? Let's say that, okay, we've gotten to the 7-figure run rate. It was really hard for me to let go of the reins for my account manager, my media buyer, my frontline team. But I can still show up and work with them every day. I can still check in on them. I can still see how they're doing. I can still see if they're doing a good job or not. When you get to that next stage of growth, now you can't even do that because that's the manager's job. And so you now have to learn how to lead through other leaders. And there's generally a huge amount of team turnover at this stage of growth because the leaders that you put in place were maybe not the right people or the people that are capable of leading the department towards 500K per month and everything that it's going to take in order to get there. So that skill gap, again, of not just being a good leader yourself, but leading other leaders and leveling up those leaders and putting those people in the right role and set up for success, that is a really hard transition to make because it means that really now you are not the smartest person in the room, right? Like if you're doing this correctly, your leaders are also leading you. They're telling you what needs to happen for our account management department, our media buying department, our sales department. And so it really flips it on its head in terms of what it means to be a CEO that drives your company to 500K months.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna leave that one. Okay. Now, you talked about the different positions. Now I got more information than y'all just because I got to experience her presentation live. So when you start talking about these different positions, like you talked about team leads, head of sales, heads of hiring, whatever. I don't want to tell them the exercise because that needs to be a surprise.
Let's take this, whatever will be most valuable to your audience. Where do you want to take it?
She does a bunch of good exercises. Hire her for your team.
There you go.
All right. How do I not tell it? Okay. In order to find these great people so that you can have confidence and complete faith and trust that this person can do it outside of your own mental work that you need to do.
Yes.
How would you go about picking the best person for whatever job? Because like you said, you're talking about head team leads, head of products, head of sales, head of your account managers.
Yep.
So just in general, because each position is going to have different names and all of that. But what should we be looking for or trying to do to make sure the best person, not your favorite person, but the best person is in the right seat?
Yeah. And you're already kind of foreshadowing this here, Cameron. The answer is the same for any role that you are trying to hire, whether that is your very first marketing VA, your account manager, or your head of sales, right? Doesn't matter. The exercise is always the same. The biggest thing that I see people mess up is that they hire the person that is available, right? So if you're small and you need an account manager, you're at like less than that 7-figure run rate, you're building your initial team and you need an account manager, and a buddy from high school that you haven't talked to in 5 years pops up on your Facebook and says, hey, do you have any work? You hire them because they're available and you need this person like yesterday. So we build these teams organically based out of our organic networks, and we have no actual idea whether they're the quote unquote best person for the role. Same exact thing happens when you're trying to build your management team. I take my best performing salesperson, and because they're the best performing salesperson and they're immediately available, I tap them in for head of sales. What's the problem with this approach? The problem with this approach is that you're choosing the person first, and then you're building the role around them. So in my first example, let's say that your buddy from high school is your account manager, but he's actually really uncomfortable handling client escalations. He's really uncomfortable with conflict and confrontation. And so now, because he's in the role, you're like, okay, I guess we'll just take that off your plate. We'll just take that out of the role and you just escalate any client fires to me and we'll work around it, right? That's adapting the role to match the person. Flip it. This is for hiring any role. The best practice I can offer you is first define the role. Before you talk to anybody, before you consider any candidates, even people already on your team, build a definition of the role that is unbiased and is objective. What does an A player account manager really look like? What outcomes are they able to accomplish and achieve within your business? What competencies and skills and experience do they bring to the table in order for them to be able to fill that role? You design an A player avatar, like a hypothetical avatar. And then you can go out and find that person, because now you're not looking for who is the person who is most available. You know what that role needs to look like. And now you're just going out to recognize in your hiring funnel and all these candidates that you're interviewing, who is the best match for the definition of success that I've already built. And against that definition, your buddy from high school is probably not a great fit. Against that definition, your top salesperson might be a terrible fit to be your head of sales. Because what are they amazing at? They're amazing at closing deals. That's all they do all day, every day. And they are so damn good at it. You know what they are worse at? Having team meetings, training other salespeople, reviewing call recordings, having leadership calls, building systems and doing administrative work, right? That may not be anything that they are good at or want to do. And so we make this mistake where we automatically promote our top performers across all departments. We automatically promote our top performer because we assume that they're going to be a great manager. And that's the mistake. So we first need to define, what does a great manager do? What do they look like? What does success look like for this manager in this role? And then you can look at your team and say, do I have anybody who will be the best fit for that? And if I don't, then I'm going to go out into the big wide world and I'm going to find one. Because the final thing I'll say about all this, Cameron, is that there is no more expensive mistake that a business owner can make than hiring in the wrong manager. That is an incredibly expensive, costly mistake. And so my big advice is to slow down, take time with it, and make sure that you are putting the right leadership team in place, because that is the number one reason that most agency owners never scale past that 100 to 300K per month mark, is that they have the wrong people on the bus.
Okay, I'm going to my notes. All right, I wrote down. Now, in finding this person, yes, everybody knows we take notes because so many gems get dropped. I can't. It's a lot. Do you think you could hire someone from overseas and they can fill that role just as great as a U.S. people? Because we know there's some people who are like, oh, if they're not a U.S. person, that's not right, or I can't take them. Or some people are like, your whole entire team should be overseas because it's cheaper, whatever.
Sure.
So for these, we won't go C-suite, but maybe like directors or your team leads or heads ups.
Sure.
Do you think that they could be overseas people, whether that's, Middle Eastern, LATAM, or Philippines? Do you think, have you seen there be better performance out of local U.S. people or overseas?
So I will share kind of how I answer this question. And this is just a philosophical belief, really, at the end of the day. I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer here. I'm just going to share what I believe. Over half of my leadership team is international. And that's because I believe that people are just people. Everywhere, people are just people. There's amazing people, there's terrible people. I'm not concerned with where this person is from. I'm concerned with who is the best person to fit the role. And if that person is in the US, brilliant. If that person is in Canada, awesome. If that person is in Pakistan, fantastic. I am looking for the best person to fit this role. And I've already built my little avatar of who this person looks like. And I don't care. I just don't care where that person's from because they're just a human being with as much potential and as much skill and as much competency as any other human being. The question is just, are they the right fit for the role that you've designed? So I would advocate for people to hire domestically and locally if you want an in-person team. That makes perfect sense, right? Because then that's a logistical decision. If you want to have an office where your team comes together, where they're able to gather and be together and work together, then yeah, hire locally so that you can do that. But if you want a remote team, then I really don't believe that some groups of people are objectively better than other groups of people. I just don't understand that. Versus find the right individual person who's a match for the role. So Cameron, we do operations coaching, right? I coach the second in commands for like 65 plus operators at this point have gone through my program. We have worked with people from every single continent. We have worked with people from South Africa, from Eastern Europe, from Australia, from the Philippines, from South America. My own operator is from Mexico, right? So is there any data at all that supports that domestic people are somehow quote unquote better? No, there's not. Exceptional people exist everywhere. It really comes down to the business owner and like, do you believe that? Because if you fundamentally believe that somebody from Mexico is going to do a less good job or that they're less smart or that they're less capable, then you're probably going to show up and lead them like you would lead a kindergartner. And then they're going to show up as a kindergartner and they're going to validate that belief.
She's on fire.
Fair enough?
Okay. Does that same thought process apply to C-suite level?
Yes, because like, why wouldn't it? It's just people, guys. Like, it's just people. So here's the thing. If you have a head of sales and you know that your target niche responds best to US-based people with zero discernible accent, and in order for that person to be as effective in the role as possible, you think a US-based salesperson makes sense. Then beautiful, hire for somebody from the US, right? Because you're doing it for strategic reasons because of your client expectations or whatever. But I've also seen crusher salespeople from Argentina, from Mexico, right? I don't think there's any objective truth that people in the US are quote unquote better. In fact, most of the people that I know who have remote teams swear by their international team and say that they work harder, they're more loyal, they're more dedicated, they're more committed, they're more hardworking than their US counterparts.
Well, okay.
We'll see.
Right. Where do I want to go with this now? Okay. I'm just trying not to give all the goodness away, but still let them.
That's all right, dude. We can give as much goodness away as you want to give. I'm here to give generously and freely.
Pay her for all of it. Okay, let's do this one. All right, so let's talk about numbers because we talked about this as a slight, 5 seconds. Now, with you being a systems person,
yes,
your focus is mainly like operations, processes, systems. Is there ever a need for you to really even dive into financials of a business to even do your job effectively?
Great question. Yeah, we could get into this because I'd be curious on your thoughts as well. So I place profit as a North Star metric under the domain of operations. A qualified and competent COO or head of ops needs to be looking at the P&L, needs to understand cost structures and expense structures in the business and be able to lower them so that you are able to stack profit, right? The CEO's job is to drive revenue. That's the top line up here. The COO or operator's job is to keep expenses low. That's down here. And the gap between those two is profit. So yes, I train my operators to study, they aren't financial experts, right? There's a reason for a CFO, a bookkeeper, somebody who can do the financial analysis, but they have to understand what those numbers mean so that they can action them within the business. Like if our labor budget is out of KPI and we have too many people, I need to, as an operator, see that and understand that so that I can then turn around, analyze the team, and figure out where are we over leveraged or where are we less than fully productive, right? So I think that an operator needs to be able to use financial data as a diagnostic tool for them to identify where there's inefficiencies and gaps in the business that's causing profit to be lower than it should be. And then where most of their expertise and focus is now what do I do about that? And how do I restructure the team or the systems or whatever to close that gap and bring profitability back in?
Okay, this is my topic. Okay, let's stay right there. So when you're teaching these operators or COOs to look at these numbers, what would you say are maybe the top or top three? If you don't look at any other number and understand it, you need to look at what three?
That's a great question. Specific to finance, right? We're not talking about like company-wide. Okay, specific to finance.
I mean, it could be because technically, if your CFO, if your accountant, your bookkeeper is doing their job, let me rephrase it because I can't speak on everybody and I know we're different. For us, we have the whole company's numbers here. So not only can we see top line growth, but we can see cost of goods. So we can see cost of labor. We can see tech, payroll, contractors, equipment, whatever the case is. So hypothetically, if they're looking at the financials, they can see everything, or they should.
Yep. So the top three, like kind of finance-based metrics that I train my operators to really look at and optimize is number one, profit and profit margin, right? That's straightforward. Number two is revenue per head. Revenue per head, I think, is really important for operations because it's essentially a team productivity metric, right? How much revenue is each person on your team generating for the business? And is that number going up over time? Is your team getting more effective? Are they getting more productive? Are they getting more efficient? If not, you're not doing your job as an operator, right? So revenue per head. And then the third one that we do a lot of work on that is less straightforward to calculate, like it's not just easily accessible in the P&L, but it's cost of fulfillment. Marginal cost of fulfillment per product is really, really important for an operator to understand because they essentially need to know how much is it costing us to fulfill on this product, and are we pricing our services appropriately so that we are protecting margin? And the best operators are running that analysis and then giving that data back to their CEO that says, hey, this offer that you're like pumping out one after the other and you're so excited because there's so much top line revenue. Yeah, that's actually not that profitable, or it's not our most profitable product. We should look at that, right? As you scale and grow, building a business, scaling a business is all about a numbers game. And so if the operator can bring that cost data to the table so that we're optimizing not just for top line, but for margin and for profit, then the business as a whole is going to systematically like cut all of the shit that is really inefficient and costing them a lot of money and double down on the things where their profit is strongest. What do you think about that? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, now I'm over here feeling some type of way because I'm like, dang, we give that kind of cost of fulfillment metric. We call ours something different, but we tell our clients all the time, like, it is so important to know each individual service because one of the things that irks me with accountants, and everybody knows how I feel about the accounting industry. If you're newer to the podcast, I personally feel like the accounting industry as a whole is just failing our clients because we give you guys these financials, this balance sheet and P&L, and we just give it to you. We don't explain nothing. We don't break it down. We don't relate it to you. And the client is just going to go, oh, okay, thank you. And they're not going to read it. And then we have bigger problems compounding later. So for me, I hate it when we get a client or a prospect coming in and we may be doing a diagnostic and you just see income and a number. I'm like, this doesn't tell me anything. Like if you do, we have a lot of SEO agencies. Like I should see website income. I should see onboarding. I should see SEO. I should see consulting. I should see project, because eventually you're going to ask me, well, which one of these is the most profitable, right? And we need to know that because you may be putting all your time into building websites, but that may be your third most profitable thing when SEO is the one that brings you the money, which to your point, if that's where we put all the focus, then we make more money, etc. So my first thought when you said it was like, dang, I'm doing COO somewhat type stuff. But to your point, which not to spoil the exercise, that's why we sometimes wear multiple hats, even though we live in one main function.
Yep.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, hire her so she can teach you too. But I think that's a great one. The revenue per head one, I've heard of this one. My thing would be, how can you calculate it without, I guess, doing timesheets, right? Because you would have to at least say every time you work on client A, B, and C, you need to time track, and then you divide that by how much you pay your team in order to determine. But
so I would keep it more simple than that. Like revenue per head at its most basic, and like what matters more than specifically how you calculate it is that you just calculate it the same way every time, because
right.
it like this becomes a really effective metric only over time. You're trying to see, can I move the lever on this metric? Not necessarily like, can I get it to $10,000 month one? So take total top line revenue and divide it by total number of people on the team. Like that's the most simple way to do it, right?
I
And then
thought you were going to
people,
say, like, if you got 10 clients, divide that by how much you pay that particular employee or team member. And
no, that's where you would get into more of like a granular marginal cost of fulfillment exercise. And if you wanted to go there you could. But yeah, revenue per head is just like very basically like total top line revenue divided by total number of people. How much money is each person on my team on average producing for the business? And let's say you run that number and you're like, cool, it's 3K. My average employee is producing 3K for the business per month. Okay, that's pretty shit, but that's where we start. And then the job of operations is to push that to 5K, to 10K, to 15K. I was speaking at the event with somebody who is at 40K revenue per head. That's pretty good, right? So it's not even about where you start. Not all business models, not all agencies will have the same revenue per head, right? A done with you service is probably going to have a higher revenue per head than a done for you. It doesn't really matter so long as it's improving over time, because that's what the job of operations is. Is my team getting more productive and generating more revenue per person over time?
I feel like I now have homework and you didn't even give me no homework. Okay. All right. Let's slightly flip the script. And I forgot to ask you this before, so this may be a whole skippable section. You currently on your staff or team have somebody, an accountant, bookkeeper, CFO, something that helps you with numbers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What are some of the cool things that they're doing or suggesting to help you to reach your goals?
I love that. So we work with a fractional CFO that also like kind of bundles in our tax services and our bookkeeping services.
Smart. That's the best way.
Nice. And what they are doing for us, I would say the most valuable side of it is kind of the fractional CFO stuff, right? There's a lot of amazing bookkeepers out there. There's a lot of amazing tax services out there. What is hard to find is amazing CFOs and people who can give you really sharp financial analysis. And so we sit down once a quarter, like we don't even do it all that frequently, but what they're looking at is our quarterly performance. They're looking at our budget and like how we are spending our money and where we are spending our money. And they're helping us understand, hey, are we over KPI in any place across the business? Are we spending too much on team? Are we spending too much on our sales department? Are we not spending enough on our marketing? And we could actually grow faster if we invested more money into our marketing, right? So they're helping us stay healthy and financially sustainable and healthy as a business. And then I'd say the other major thing that they do that is really helpful for us is they help us forecast our goals. So if I say, hey, I want to hit X amount of revenue by the end of the year, they are building runways like forecasts for us that say, okay, well, here's what that would have to look like across your current products and current pricing. Here's how many you would have to sell per month for the next 12 months. Maybe that's not a viable goal. So now we know that. Do we need to increase our prices? Do we need to cancel one of our products because it's eating up a lot of time and it's only producing 10% of our revenue, right? So they are there to look at the numbers and help us forecast how we're going to get to our goals based off of the targets we set, the price point, and like kind of our run rate and our growth rate.
That's a fabulous answer. And I myself would say that's a perfect example of what you should be expecting from a fractional CFO. Now, we've talked about different levels in the business, C-suite, director level, and then your heads of, and then your, we'll just call them regulars. notice the things she talked about, forecasting, projections, all of those things, that is not what you should be expecting a bookkeeper to do.
Agreed.
That is the wrong role. That
Yep.
bookkeeper is just supposed to say, like, hey, these pens and pencils and cups and markers are office supplies. That's it. They're not there to give you analysis and suggestion. This is what it is. I got it entered.
Yep.
So I just wanted to be clear because we've had people even get on a call with us and they're like, yeah, I'm so mad at my previous, accounting. And I'm like, either this is a flag or something legit. So what is it? And they say, oh, well, you pay them $250 a month. That's
Right.
they're not giving you all. They don't even have that skill set.
Yep.
So I think that just further ties in your point about what is the skill set you're looking for, assign a budget or something to it, and then you attack that. Not what a lot of people do. I feel like bookkeeping should only be no more than $300. And then they get mad. Oh, well, why don't they do my taxes? Why is that not? And I'm like, bro,
Yep.
we get it, but it may be that you never communicated that you needed these things to your person or you made the assignment, whatever.
Yep.
So I think that just further drills your point.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go this way.
Okay.
Now, best ROI. So what has been your best investment to date? And it can be, some people say it's personal or business, either one, that has produced the greatest ROI for you.
Okay. I like this question. I will go personal professional blend on this. The best investment I ever made was in a personal coach. They are a business coach. She has a business background. She specializes in working with entrepreneurs, but she helps me become a better person so that I can lead my business better. And with the support of this one person and the investment into this one person, I accelerated the growth of my career, the growth of my personal life, the growth of my professional life, my business growth. I have easily 3x'd the speed at which I was able to move because I had somebody who was in my corner the whole time, coaching me, supporting me, and just being like absolutely in support of me and my success the whole way through. And that was totally invaluable to me.
Okay. Next question. Because you've seen this on the op side. So I'm going to ask it because normally we'll tell people, hey, you're at the 5, whoever it is that we're talking to. They may be at the 10 million or the 5 million, or they've hit their million and they're going to 2, whatever the case. But we always tell them to say, what are the top 3 things you would tell a newer agency to not do to hit $1 million? So in your case, seeing that you've seen the 50K a month people and the 300K a month people,
yep,
from a systems or ops perspective, what are 3 things you would tell a newer agency that may be at year 2 or 3 to not do if they want to get to $1 million?
Okay. Number 1, do not hire the first person just because they're available. And we already talked about that and why that's so important, but it bears repeating, and it is the cause of so much hurt and pain down the road if you disregard it. So I don't care if this is your very first VA hire the best person for the role. Don't hire the first person.
Not their spouse, not their sibling,
not your cousin's dog's babysitter's best friend. Like, hire the best person for the role, period. Always, forever. Number 1. I would say number 2, from an operations perspective, pick one communication channel and stick to it. Slack. If you want my pick, I would say Slack. But what we see so often is like these big agencies, 100, 250K months, and they are still talking to their team across Slack, email, text, WhatsApp, and Facebook DMs. And at scale, that becomes a freaking mess. Nobody knows where anything is. Nobody can find anything. There are messages flying around the business. Everyone is living in a constant distraction-filled environment, and nobody is getting productive work done. Pick one channel and stick to it. That'd probably be from a systems and communication perspective. That's probably the biggest mistake I see made. And then 3, I think this is more on the leadership side, but you your business cannot grow faster than you do. Your personal growth will be the limiting factor to your business growth always. And that's true if you're young, old, doesn't matter. 6-year-old entrepreneurs would probably say exactly the same thing. Your business will only grow as fast as you do. So make sure that you are investing into your own personal development as a human being, a leader, an entrepreneur, because you could have the most perfect business in the world, but if you don't know how to grow to lead it, then you will naturally become a cap on that business. It will not outgrow you.
I was stuck on number 2, but number 3 though. Okay. Number 2 is solid though, but okay. How has your definition of success changed from when you started about 5 years ago to like present day? Like, how's it changed, evolved, adapted?
Yeah. I am just who I am at my core, Cameron. I'm a very impact-based person. And so I think the biggest evolution in my personal definition of success has been around how do I serve and impact people? When I started as a COO, I really believed and had my own identity totally tied up in being a second in command. I thought that that was my identity. I thought that was my purpose and how I could impact the most people. I underwent a major evolution when I decided to start my own business, and then a major evolution again when I decided to build a coaching program and to scale my business, because I realized that my highest impact is actually as a CEO. And that is the identity that I now attach to as opposed to COO. So in terms of my definition of success, it stayed relatively consistent in that I want to serve and impact at my highest. But I've gone through a lot of growth and evolution when it comes to how can I do that? And what does it mean for me to do that?
Man, these are some good answers. You need to like write a book or something. Okay.
Coming 2025.
Last question.
All right.
If you can get in the time machine and you get 30 seconds to go back to either high school you or college you, but you know every single thing, the journey has not changed. You know every single thing like present day. But you get back to go, you get the chance to go back and like encourage them or tell them something. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that the only skill that I need is the ability to learn quickly. Because with that one skill, you unlock every other skill. And I have successfully put myself in positions that were way over my head. Like when I first stepped into a COO role, I didn't even freaking know what that role meant. I barely knew what operations was. I was totally unqualified for it. But because I have the ability to learn quickly, I caught up really fast and I was able to be successful. So the ability to learn is like the highest leverage skill that you can cultivate, because with that one skill, you can confidently step into new arenas and new games that you've never played before. You can push yourself past the edge of your comfort zone confidently, because you know that whatever arena you put yourself in, you will catch up quickly and surpass even the people who are already better at it than you are.
That was the first time we had that answer. I like it. All right, this is your time because we got to bring this to a close. You got to go help other people, y'all.
That's right.
So, as we bring this to a close, tell the people again, name a company, any way they want to connect with you, like website, what's your best social media maybe, in case they want to reach out and get some more information, and then tell them about this free bottleneck business detector. No, I said it wrong.
Business bottleneck detector?
Bottleneck.
Perfect.
See, that's why you're going to say it, because I ain't want to mess it up.
That's all good. That's all good. So guys, once again, my name is Jonna Lee. You can find me online. Our website is spyglassops.com. Best socials are going to be Facebook and Instagram, the Jonna Lee. I think I'm the only Jonna Lee on Facebook or Instagram, so you should be able to find me pretty quick. And because Cameron is so amazing, and thank you for having me here, Cameron, I wanted to gift your audience with a freebie that we've built, which essentially in 5 minutes or less, you answer a few questions about your business, and it will tell you what is the number one biggest operational bottleneck currently holding back your business and slowing down your growth. So it's a diagnostic tool so that you've got a starting point that says, hey, your business is not growing as fast or as scalable as you want it to be. Look here. this is the bottleneck that's holding you back.
Okay. So you know how to get in touch with her. She's even being nice. We're going to make sure this is in like the comments and description of this episode.
Perfect.
All of that. So y'all will have that. I don't know what else to say. I feel like she dropped
that's
the
it.
Right, let me recap it just in case you missed it or you zoned out because your kids was yelling or something like that. All right, this is what my notes say. So she's helped people go from 50K to your 8,500, 200, 300Ks. As an agency, you don't want to resist the need to change. Meaning, if I become aware after you listen to this podcast, you become aware that, man, I fit into some of those different stages that she was saying, and I need to make those changes. The only thing that's stopping you from getting there from the systems and ops perspective is just our inner resistance to thinking that it's only me. Like I have to be the one to do it or else it's not going to get done correctly. No, you want to shift to a more team focused. If my team is winning, then I'm winning. Hiring overseas versus local U.S. talent. She doesn't really see there to be a difference in the work put out. It's going to be more of a personality thing. Do they fit the job description as well as what just do you need in general? Make sure, though, when you're doing these jobs that you do not person and fit them into role, but create your role. And then what is the best person to put there? Not your mama, daddy, brother, cousin, your baby daddy, your babysitter, sister. None of that. Do it the other way so that way you don't lose money, lose out on time, get frustrated. She told you guys the top 3 things that she teaches her operators to look at because they should be looking at the numbers too, because everybody on that C-suite level or that director level should be working towards the North Star of profit, helping the company make more profit. I'm not even going to tell y'all because I want you to go back and listen to it. I have the 3 written down, but I'm just throw that out there. And then all in all, systems and operations are super important to your business. And it can be literally that if you clean it up and you address it appropriately, can get you where you need to be. So,
love it.
All that being said, she didn't tell y'all this part, but I'm going to say it. She speaks. So if you're having like a mastermind or a webinar or something like that, check her out. She got a speaker page. You can go see what she specializes in. If you just connect with her, she can probably tell you all this. I'm just a fan, so
thank you, man.
Doing that. But check her out, guys. I'm telling you, she's literally. I've heard not only at the mastermind we were at how he was raving, but just off the exercise, like she couldn't stop talking to people because everybody just kept coming up to her, asking her more and more questions, which lets you know what she brought to that audience was super impactful and drove their businesses further. So, with all that being said, I'm sorry, I was a fanboy. Any last words you want to leave to the audience before we go?
I don't think so. Guys, just remember that you don't have to do it alone, again, which means that you also get to tap into your resources like Cameron, resources like me. There are experts out there who can support you in closing the knowledge gaps and accelerating your journey. So definitely use them.
I couldn't have said it better. So, thank you again for coming, guys. Again, if you know somebody who's struggling with their systems, their operations, or they need to audit their team, maybe we're feeling that plateau and like we just can't expand. This is one of the people you need to come and talk to. So again, like we do with everybody, we're going to put all the stuff in the descriptions on whatever platform you are, but reach out. I'm telling y'all.
Reach out. Talk
now,
to you guys
that being said, run these numbers up for this particular episode. Tag a friend, share it, listen to it while you cleaning up the house or mowing the grass or at the gym or walking your 10,000 steps. This is what you need to listen to. So, with all that being said, thank you guys so much. Until the next episode, we're going to do our work to find the next genius, the next great person to bring on here to continue to give you guys value. Until then, stay safe and see you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Cameron.